Hi, Student Success Seminar. This is Dr. Linda Remark. I am your instructor for this course this fall. I always like to kick off every semester with a video that just welcomes you, but also shows you some basic navigation of our course specifically so that you know what to do when it's time to jump in and get started. So the first thing I want to mention is, depending on how you're watching this, you may or may not have full access to Brightspace. So any student who is brand new to the college or brand new to online learning for a complete Web3, they have to take something called Succeeding Online Orientation. And until that's completed, you will not be able to see everything inside your courses. So you may get to like the home screen, but you won't be able to access like your lessons or your weekly assignments until you take that Succeeding Online Orientation. So just keep that in mind that you need to complete that before you will be able to get into the course much further. All right, so whenever you log into our course, it's going to bring you to kind of this landing page, Course Home. It is where announcements are going to be. I have announcements loaded. So you'll see them starting day one of our semester, and they'll always pop up right here. So the announcements are also found under course tools and then announcements as well, if you needed to go directly to see them. The announcements, I usually post anywhere between 2 and 4 times each week, and it's just letting you know like what we're covering, reminders of what to do so that you can stay on track. So after you get to this page, we'll probably only stay here for a little bit of time, check out the announcement, and then you're going to spend a majority of your time in this area called lessons. And you can see there's a lot going on here, although on your view, you will only get to see what is open based on date. So you're always going to see the start here, this, but then after that, it depends on what week we're in. So it's not going to be so overwhelming for you. You're not going to see all of this at one time. So you're always going to, for the first couple of weeks at least, more than likely check out the Start Here section. This is where you're going to have some basic information on the course, the college, to get you started. And then odds are you're not going to need it after the first several weeks. So this welcome right here, you're going to see like this was my last fall video. The video you're watching right now will take its place. And it will be embedded right here so that it will be here all semester in case you need to go back and review or try to remind yourself how to do something. Underneath there, you have 2 discussion posts, or boards, I should say. The Student Lounge, both of these will be open all semester. The Student Lounge is basically a place for you to kind of introduce yourself, maybe give some tips on maybe a good movie you've seen or suggestions on things around campus, whatever it could be. It's just like think of it as a place that you would chat with your classmates before or after class. It is not for a grade. I sometimes will just pop in there and just make sure there's nothing I need to answer. But for the most part, it's just for students kind of just chatting. The Muddy Point is a forum that is also open all semester where you can ask general questions. So think about like if you were raising your hand in class, you wanted to ask or answer a question. Now the catch is anyone can answer your question. So if you have a question that is very specific to you, like an assignment that you're completing that you're confused on, that you just need my help with, or you have a question about a grade from me, you're going to want to message me directly. Sometimes with the Muddy Point, I don't check it every day. I only check it maybe every few days. And so I'm not going to see it in a timely way versus if you message me directly through Brightspace or email. So just to show you how to complete a discussion board, because you will need to know this, you would simply hit go to topic and it's going to repopulate the prompt right here. And then you'll simply hit start a new thread. You'll put your subject, say you have a question, put your question here, and then you'll hit post. So that's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and actually post it. Once someone has posted, you can go in and reply simply by clicking on the name of their thread. Mine was just question. You can click on the name of their thread and just hit reply to thread. And you will go in here and hit your reply. Spell it correctly. Oh my goodness, my L key apparently this morning did not want to work. Okay, so, and then you'll hit post. So that's basically how you're going to complete discussion boards. When it comes time to complete your first one, my assignment video will walk through it more in detail. That was just kind of an overview. Underneath that, you have our master syllabus. This is just a very generic syllabus saying, hey, you're taking a 1 credit hour course. There's the course description that in theory you would have seen before enrolling in the class. We hit on all the college general learning outcomes, but then there are 5 specific course objectives. These are the things that we focus on in this class, talking about using the different resources, talking about, critical thinking, time management, personal responsibility, all those different things that go into making a student successful. And of course, we always have different definitions of what success is. So it's not just based on your grades, but how you progress throughout your program, how you are bettering yourself in general. So those are the course objectives. There's a list of Sark State policies and where you could go to find them if you needed to know more about any of those. Disability support services. Here's the office if you have like a 504 or an IEP in high school. This is where you would go to get assistance for that. They also help with short-term issues. For instance, one semester I had a student who broke their dominant hand. They couldn't write anymore. And so Disability Support Services supplied a note taker for them. So it could be things like that. So academic needs that are kind of documented somehow through medical or educational settings, you can go to them. Here's some information on computer usage, just some basics, and then some student success resources. So one of the goals of this class is to introduce you to a lot of these, but I always like to also show you where to find it on the website. So here's a list of our resources. There's more than that, but it's just kind of like a nice little list. If you go to the Sark State homepage, I'm just going to kind of go back here. And those of you who maybe were here in the spring or the summer, you'll notice we have a brand new web page. So some of the navigation we all have to kind of get used to again. So when you go here and you go to Info For, I would encourage you to go to Current Students, and then you have all the different support avenues over here on the side. Let's say you're not necessarily looking for academic support. You want to know more about how do I brush up my resume? You go to Career Services, or maybe you are having some issues going on, counseling support. Academic support is going to be the things just like you think of it, like the bookstore. It's going to have some tutoring. It's going to have some library services. So you can see all the different services there. It'll give you a little bit of like what they do, if there's a contact person, if there's a separate website to go and look at something for that. So lots of information there on different things that can help you with the academic side. There's also student leadership and engagement. So there is a lot of on-campus activities that you could get involved with. Student organizations, we have around 40 of them. So some of them are just for fun, like Amateur Radio Society. Some of them are connected to your actual major. So if you're an electrical or electronic engineer. So it's a great way to network, but also build your resume. So I always like to point students out to this particular area of the web page just so that you're taking advantage, because even though they're free, you've already paid for them with your tuition. So might as well get your money worth. All right, so if we keep going, that's your master syllabus. Over here, this is your fall specific class syllabus. So this is what those of us in here pertains to very specifically. So again, SSC101, we are Web 3, which means we do not meet the same time, the same day. We work at our own pace within the confines of a week. By that, I mean you have your week opening on Monday and closing on Sunday. And so you can get on Mondays and work, you can get on Wednesday night and work. So you can kind of work at your own pace that way, but you still have to get things done within a certain amount of time. Again, there's my name, my office hours right here. I just moved offices. I'm in E229 now. But this is where you can expect to get a hold of me in my office. I am there more frequently, but this is just when I am guaranteed to be able to have an appointment or something like that. I also am available through email. I try to answer email very quickly. Unless I'm physically teaching, I try to get to your email within an hour if I can, but you can always reach me through email. I'll show you how to do course messaging up here as well. We do have a textbook, but it is free and it's accessed through our course, so I'll show you that here shortly. Here's just a list of all the assignments and the objectives that they're linked to. You may or may not care about that part of it, but here's what you might care more about. So here's the grading scale. We are a typical grading scale, A, B, C, D, F. Class policies. So attendance is really important. I know that sounds odd because we're in an online class, but you get your attendance through posting on the weeks that you have discussion boards. You need to post by Wednesday. So by Wednesdays, you need to post your original response to the prompt. And once we get into each weekly assignment, I will walk you through that a little bit more, but you'll post by Wednesdays and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. If you post on time, it's 100% attendance. If you post late, you still get partial attendance. So I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, it's Thursday, I forgot to post. Still post, because you actually get graded on these 2 times. By that, I mean you get graded on it the first time by posting, so getting your post in there and getting attendance credit for doing it. But then you also get graded on, did you actually respond to the prompt? Did you get all of the, questions answered, or did you complete the requirement of the prompt? So you get 2 grades, attendance and then actually the assignment grade, and then you responded to classmates. On weeks where there's no discussion board, it's just basically, did you submit your work on time, all of your work on time by that Sunday? Everything in here is going to be submitted through Brightspace. If there's an issue, I will take an email attachment. That's not a big deal. Here's some more information on just the policies, withdrawal dates. We're a 16-week course, and so let's say we get to November and your work schedule changes or something happens in your life where it's a lot and you need to get a class off your schedule. So you have until November 16th to withdraw from any 16-week course. And I really encourage you to do that if you've not been attending, if you're failing, if you're worried about kind of your GPA transcript moving forward. If you're a CC Plus student, College Credit Plus, this is a website that is for you. I do want to point out, it's not as big of a deal in the fall semester, but CCP, you are on Stark State College's calendar. So which means if the college is open one day, but your school district is closed, you still have to follow the Stark State College calendar. That's because sometimes I might have, 5 different districts inside my online courses, and we can't accommodate every district's specific days off because sometimes they vary, for teacher development and all those kind of things. So if you're a CCP student, you are a Stark State student in this class, and that's the calendar you focus and follow. All right, underneath that is the calendar. This is the part that if you can't print this whole syllabus out, I would recommend maybe printing out the calendar or at least saving it to your device. You can go back and look at it. It's going to walk you through what we're doing each week. You can see for the first 3 weeks, you have discussion boards, which that Wednesday night post. But then in week 4, you see there's no discussion board. So your attendance is due by Sunday. So I will tell you that every week, make sure you respond by Wednesday, respond to class nights by Sunday, everything else due Sunday. So just take a look at the calendar. That's going to walk you through what to do each week. Now, since we're talking about calendar, I will also show you up here, we do have a calendar feature where this is all of your assignments. Now I'm recording this in mid-August, a little bit before the semester starts, and all of my online classes are in here. So that's why you're seeing a lot more than what you might when it's on your own screen. But this is just a nice kind of interactive way, okay, am I up to date? Sometimes Brightspace will send little reminders about when things are coming due based on what this calendar says. So it's also accessible to you there in that calendar space. Okay, back on the lessons area, we just looked through the syllabus, and I do recommend, again, just either saving that or making sure that you always know how to get back to it. Here's a real quick little instructor welcome. Again, my name is Dr. Remark. I've been teaching here for a long time, about 18 years. I teach this class, I teach college success, and I teach a reading course on face-to-face. I have 3 kiddos, 16-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So I like to make sure my students know that I am also busy juggling all the things like a lot of my students are. The rest of this under the kind of the start here section are basically just resources to help you. There's some expectations, the grading requirements. There's some information about netiquette, discussion forms. So lots of resources. Some of them are hidden because they're no longer relevant or they're just for instructors. But as I mentioned, you may or may not need this area as we get further into the course. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the student services assignment and instruction. So this is an assignment. I just want to make sure that you know now. And you can see I have a video up here. This was from last fall. I will re-upload this to reflect this fall because the dates always change. Excuse me. So between now and the end of the semester, so between now and December, you have to register and attend a workshop that the college puts on. So we do a series of workshops. It could be how to make a resume, it could be dealing with anxiety, how to search for scholarly articles. So there's a whole wide range of different workshop titles and topics that you can choose from. There's going to be morning, afternoon, and evening offerings. There's going to be face-to-face and Zoom offerings. So many different options. And so this is why I like to tell students now in August, even though you have until December, you need to register and attend sooner than you think. Because I often have students it's December, they didn't take a workshop, there's nothing you can do. You're out of those points. So as soon as that list is up and available, I will have a whole separate video walking you through that assignment. But for now, I just like students to have to know, hey, you have to take a workshop before the end of the semester. You will register for it, attend it, and then submit a certificate of attendance. That's the grade that you get. So again, I will upload a brand new video just focusing on that assignment as it becomes updated on the websites. Underneath here is our textbook and syllabus quiz. So a little bit more information, computer bare basics, but here's our textbook. So you click here, open link, and it takes you right to the table of contents. It looks a little goofy to me, honestly, at first, but then once you're here, you can click right into, all right, chapter 1, and the whole chapter is on one long page. So basically, you're just gonna have to do a lot of scrolling as you go through, and then you can just navigate by, all right, next chapter, you can go back to the table of contents, whatever works for you. Each individual chapter is embedded inside the week that it's covered, so you won't always have to come right back here. It'll be inside your weekly folders as well. So what I encourage my students to do, however, with this is, I don't expect you to read it word for word. I mean, there's a lot going on. So let's say we are in chapter 4 and you're like, you know what? I actually am really good at note-taking, but I really struggle with my listening. So I would want you to focus on that listening section. Maybe not so much the note-taking section, because if you already are solid with something, I want you to maybe like brush up on it if you need to, but really hone in on that area or that topic that you feel like you're lacking or you need a little bit more assistance with. So pay attention to that. You're also going to have lecture videos as well as PowerPoint. So hopefully you're interacting with the material in some way. So that's the textbook access. There's a PDF version of the textbook as well. It might take a little while to load because it's a large file. So if you didn't like kind of clicking in and around. Now here is the required syllabus quiz. So you have to take this in order to get into your week 1 work. So you'll take the syllabus quiz. It's a series of like 10 questions, true, false type thing. And you can certainly have your syllabi up, in another tab or in front of you, whatever, answering those questions as you go. Until you get 100%, you won't be able to access week 1. It is 10 points. You get points for doing it. So it's a guaranteed 10 out of 10. You just need to make sure you complete it before you can get into week 1. And you'll only have to do that one time the whole semester. All right, so looking at the rest of under the lessons area, you can see all your weeks are loaded in there, and you'll see every week has 2 folders. It's going to have a video folder. It's going to have its actual week folder. So, and they're all constrained by dates. So you're not going to see them any earlier or later. I do not reopen weeks after they're closed in the beginning of the semester. So if you miss a week, I am so sorry, but I do at the end of the semester around week 13, I start reopening weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. So if you had, like a late enrollment or just a really rough start to the semester, you'll have an opportunity to make up work. However, other than that, I do not reopen weeks. Late work is typically not accepted unless you have some kind of, doctor's excuse or note or something along those lines, just because we have, I didn't point it out, but there are 3 sections in here, which means there's about 75 of you in here, on top of my other online students and face-to-face students. So I usually have around 200 students. So just for tracking purposes, we stay 1 week at a time. So that's why you're always going to see like the dates there. All right. So in every folder that says videos, you'll have a lecture video, which is what it sounds like. It goes over the chapter. So I use the PowerPoint or the textbook or links, whatever it might be, to walk through the content of the week. And then I have an assignment video, which is again, hopefully what it sounds like. It's how do you complete the assignments that are assigned for this week? That way you know what to do. I really highly encourage you to watch the assignment video before completing any assignments or before emailing me with any questions, because often I address them in that assignment video. I try to make sure it's very easy to follow so that you know exactly what to do. Inside the week folder itself, this is where you'll get a snapshot of what you're doing. They'll say, hey, you have a discussion board. Everything else is due Sunday. The materials folder is just what it sounds like. There's links to textbooks, or if there's slideshows, it's just the materials to help you with the week. There's some more links here. And then you have assignments, which is where the actual work is. So that's what you'll do there. So please take a look at those videos. I will go over more of how to post, how to Dropbox inside those weekly folders as well. All right, a couple other features before we wrap up here. Over here is grades. This is where you have access to your grades at any time, so you can stay up to date. A lot of these assignments are manually graded, so I have to input them, although there are a few that Brightspace grades automatically. So it's just helpful to kind of check your grades to make sure that things are getting entered. We also have some other resources here. You can always look to see, okay, do I need to visit the digital library or the math testing, whatever it case is, just kind of quick links. We also have a messaging system in Brightspace. So if I click here, I'm going to go to email. If I needed to message as a student, if I need to message the teacher, myself, because I'm in here and I have a question, I'm just going to hit 2, and it's going to populate a list of everyone in the class. Right now, for some reason, it just has a few of you, but I would find my name, click it, add. Here I would just write my subject and then my body, and then hit send. Now, Brightspace does not have an inbox or a sent box, so it doesn't store any messages. It just helps facilitate the sending on the messages. That's going to go straight to my email. And then when I get that, I will email you back. It'll go to your inbox in your Gmail. So there's no inside the Brightspace messaging, but we can use it to message each other and get the messaging started. So I encourage you to reach out to me via Brightspace or just through your Gmail, type in my email and email me that way. All right, so I hope this is helpful. I encourage you to get your online orientation completed, get in and start looking around, and whenever you're comfortable, jump into week 1, take a look at my videos so you know what to do, and reach out at any time if you have any questions throughout the semester. I look forward to a great fall. See you soon.